Hurricane Milton slammed into Florida's Gulf Coast with terrifying force. The Category 3 hurricane brought torrential rain, powerful winds, and a devastating storm surge. Coastal communities were particularly hard hit. Homes were reduced to rubble. Businesses were flooded. The storm's impact was widespread. Millions of Floridians were left without power. The power grid, already strained from previous storms, buckled under Milton's fury. Darkness descended upon communities, amplifying the sense of fear and uncertainty. The lack of power posed significant challenges for residents. The storm surge, a wall of water pushed ashore by the hurricane's winds, caused extensive flooding. Low-lying areas were inundated. Roads transformed into rivers. The surge left a trail of destruction in its wake, damaging homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure.
As the storm passed, the true extent of the devastation became horrifyingly clear. The landscape was scarred with debris. Downed trees blocked roads, hindering access for emergency responders. The air was thick with the smell of salt water and the stench of decay. The power outages posed immediate and significant challenges. Hospitals relied on backup generators to keep critical equipment running. Residents struggled to stay cool in the sweltering heat. Food spoiled in refrigerators. The lack of power made communication difficult, isolating communities. The flooding made the situation even more dire. Many residents were trapped in their homes, surrounded by rising water. Emergency responders worked tirelessly to rescue those stranded. The floodwaters carried with them sewage and hazardous materials, posing serious health risks.
President Joe Biden wasted no time in responding to the crisis. He declared a major disaster for Florida, freeing up federal aid to assist with recovery efforts. The president then announced his intention to visit the state, to witness the devastation firsthand and offer support to those affected. Biden's visit was more than just a symbolic gesture. It was a chance for him to meet with local officials, first responders, and residents directly impacted by the storm. The president toured devastated neighborhoods, listening intently to stories of loss and resilience. During his visit, Biden pledged the full support of the federal government. He promised to expedite aid to those in need and to work tirelessly to help Florida recover and rebuild. The president's visit brought a much-needed message of hope to a state reeling from disaster. President Biden chose St. Petersburg, a city hit hard by Hurricane Milton, as the location for his major address to the nation. Speaking from a podium set against the backdrop of damaged buildings and debris-strewn streets, the president struck a tone of both empathy and resolve. Biden began by acknowledging the immense suffering caused by the hurricane. He spoke of the lives lost, the homes destroyed, and the communities shattered. The president's words were heartfelt and sincere, conveying the depth of his concern for those affected. But Biden's address was not just about mourning the losses. It was also about rallying the nation to support Florida's recovery. The president spoke of the resilience of the human spirit, the unwavering support of the federal government, and the importance of coming together in times of crisis.
Section 5. Federal aid flows, a lifeline for Florida. The federal government's response to Hurricane Milton was swift and substantial. The disaster declaration unlocked billions of dollars in aid, providing a lifeline for Florida as it began the arduous task of recovery and rebuilding. The aid came in various forms, targeting the most pressing needs. One of the most immediate priorities was providing temporary housing for those displaced by the storm. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, mobilized resources to set up shelters and provide financial assistance to those in need of temporary accommodations. The federal government also provided funding to help repair damaged infrastructure. This included roads, bridges, power lines, and other critical facilities that were essential for restoring normalcy to affected communities. The Army Corps of Engineers was deployed to assist with debris removal and other engineering challenges.
Section 6. The long road ahead. Rebuilding shattered lives. While the influx of federal aid provided some relief, the road to recovery for Florida promised to be long and challenging. Rebuilding shattered homes and businesses would take time, resources, and an unwavering commitment from both the government and the private sector. The emotional toll of the disaster was immeasurable. Many residents lost everything they owned. Families were grieving the loss of loved ones. The trauma of the experience left an indelible mark on the community's psyche. The economic impact of Hurricane Milton was also significant. Businesses were forced to close, some permanently. Tourism, a vital part of Florida's economy, suffered a major blow. The cost of rebuilding was estimated to be in the billions of dollars.
Section 7. The political landscape disaster and the 2024 election. The devastation caused by Hurricane Milton inevitably became entangled with the political landscape, particularly as the 2024 presidential election loomed. The storm's impact on Florida, a key swing state, thrust the issue of disaster preparedness and response into the national spotlight. President Biden's handling of the crisis was closely scrutinized by both his supporters and his detractors. Some praised his swift and decisive action, while others argued that the federal response could have been more robust. The storm also highlighted the partisan divide on climate change. While some pointed to Hurricane Milton as another stark reminder of the urgent need to address climate change, others downplayed the role of climate change in the disaster, attributing it to natural weather patterns. Section 8. A nation divided: climate change and the political divide. The debate over climate change intensified in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Scientists and environmental advocates argued that the storm's intensity was exacerbated by the warming of ocean waters, a consequence of climate change. They warned that such extreme weather events would become more frequent and severe unless action was taken to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. However, these warnings were met with resistance from some quarters. Climate change deniers continued to dispute the scientific consensus, dismissing Hurricane Milton as a natural disaster unrelated to human activity. The political divide on climate change remained as wide as ever. The partisan gridlock on climate change had real-world consequences. Efforts to enact meaningful climate policy were stalled in Congress. The lack of a unified national response left the United States vulnerable to the increasingly devastating impacts of climate change.
Section 9. The unsung heroes, volunteers, and first responders. Amidst the devastation and political wrangling, stories of extraordinary courage, compassion, and resilience emerged. Volunteers from across the country flocked to Florida, eager to lend a helping hand. They worked tirelessly, clearing debris, distributing food and water, and providing comfort to those in need.
First responders, many of whom had lost their own homes in the storm, worked around the clock to rescue those trapped, provide medical attention, and restore a sense of order to the chaos. Their bravery and dedication were an inspiration to all. The outpouring of support from across the country was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the American people. In the face of tragedy, they came together, united by a common desire to help their fellow citizens in their time of need.
Section 10. Lessons learned: strengthening disaster preparedness. The devastation caused by Hurricane Milton served as a stark reminder of the importance of disaster preparedness. The storm exposed vulnerabilities in infrastructure, communication systems, and emergency response protocols. It highlighted the need for stronger building codes, more resilient power grids, and improved early warning systems. In the aftermath of the disaster, there were calls for a comprehensive review of disaster preparedness measures at all levels of government.
Experts stressed the need for better coordination between federal, state, and local agencies, as well as greater public awareness of evacuation procedures and disaster preparedness kits. The lessons learned from Hurricane Milton had the potential to save lives and reduce the impact of future disasters. By investing in resilience, strengthening infrastructure, and improving emergency response capabilities, communities could better protect themselves from the growing threat of extreme weather events.
Section 11. The indomitable spirit. Florida's resilience shines through. Despite the immense challenges they faced, the people of Florida demonstrated remarkable resilience in the wake of Hurricane Milton. Neighbors helped neighbors. Strangers offered comfort and support. The spirit of community shone through the darkness. The recovery process would be long and arduous, but the people of Florida were determined to rebuild their lives and their communities. They drew strength from their shared experience, their unwavering faith, and their unyielding belief in the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Hurricane Milton may have tested their spirit, but it did not break it. The people of Florida emerged from the storm battered but unbowed, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.